Hey guys, I'm Chase Brogan. Today in this video, we're going to dive straight into the brand new Kinhank plug-and-play game console. This is the Super Console KP100. This has over 100,000 plug-and-play games on here, and this is how it comes. So first off, we have the game console, as they call it right here. This says Kinhank Mini right on the top of this. Now, this is essentially just a mini PC. It has the Intel Celeron N100 processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it also has a 512 gigabyte SSD installed within here. Now, your games are not pre-installed on the actual mini PC itself. What you get with this is this right here. This is a external hard drive. This is a 500 gigabyte hard drive with Batocera 39 on here, and this is where your 100,000 plus games are. So you have to connect this over via USB-A connection right over to the USB-A port on the side of your mini PC here, which they're calling a game console. I guess it becomes a game console when you make this connection, but if you were to just do this, this is essentially just a mini PC. So just want to kind of clarify that a little bit, but they provide all the necessary cables to get up and running, your HDMI as well as your 12-volt power supply cable. So all of that's included in here. They also throw in a T3 GameSir gamepad controller right here, which is a great controller. I actually have a couple of these. They're very reliable. This is based off of basically the design of a PS3 style controller. So we even have the hinged R2 and L2 trigger buttons up here. Just everything about this looks and feels like a PS3 style controller, which I'm a fan of. I was always a big fan of the PS3 controller, so this is a great option. Again, I have a couple of these. I use them on a regular basis, so top-notch controller option here, much better than what we typically get with plug-and-play game consoles. Now, all of this is priced at around $283 at the time of this recording. Prices do fluctuate, though, so bear with me on the price, but we're going to fire this up. We're going to dive straight into this and tour through what this has to offer, and we'll actually jump into some games as well so we can test the performance, diving into everything on the N100 processor that's within here. So let's dive into it and get started. All right, guys, here we are diving straight into everything. We're on the all games list currently, and if you look below all games here, it says 114,542 games on here. So well over the 100,000 that's being advertised. Let's dive into all games. Inside here, you can see we have a text list on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we get a little screenshot from the game. We also have a description, gives us a little information on who the developer was, when it was released, etc. So as we scroll down here, you can see alphabetical order on the left-hand side. Because this is the all games list, we're going to be able to access every single game that is included on here. So it doesn't matter what the collection is. It'll say the collection on the back side of the title. So like, for example, if I scroll down here, and we stop on this particular, let me go down a little bit further. I'm seeing a lot of duplicates here too. So like this is 10-yard fight. This is for FB Neo. It says FB Neo in parentheses at the end. If we go down to this version, this is the NES version, says 10-yard fight, but NES in parentheses at the end. And it also tells us the version. So this is the USA and European version. So we'll back out, but you can see here how we quickly got to over 100,000 games. I mean, there's duplicates all over the place. Now, some games are going to be multiple part games, but the majority of these are just blatant duplicates all over the place. And sometimes you get a different version of the game, but it's always controversial there because some people will say, oh, well, it's all different versions of the same game. Well, it's the same game at its core, and for me, I don't need 10 different versions of the same title. You know, if they're different, like if one's a bootleg, if one is a ROM hack or something like that, that's different. Like this one says this is the no protection hack. Okay, so that may vary from this version here or this version here, but for the most part, it's still a whole lot of 1943, the Battle of Midway here, that I'm only going to play one version of it personally. So we'll back out of the all games list here. Oops, I hit the wrong button. All right, so next over here we have our favorites collection. This is going to be a collection you add your own titles to just for easy access. Following that, we have Sega Mega Drive 32X over here with 60 games. So if we take a look inside here, kicks off with Afterburner, followed by Afterburner Complete. This doesn't seem to be too padded here. I mean, there's two versions of Doom. We have the Japanese and US version, and then the European version. Cosmic Carnage has two versions, so I guess there are some duplicates littered in. But for the most part, it seems to be pretty clean in this collection. We have Star Wars Arcade down here, multiple versions of that, so you can see where the duplicates find their way into the mix here. So we're going to go ahead and back out of this collection. Over here we have 3DO over here with 13 games. If we jump in here, you can see exactly what they are. We got some Road Rash in here, some of the original Need for Speed, Starfighter, pretty cool. We'll back out. We have Nintendo 3DS over here with 6 games. Inside here, Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem Fates, Birthright, we have Fire Emblem Awakening, we have Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, we have The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds, and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. So pretty cool titles in here. Not, an absolute ton of titles, but still some good ones. Here we have Amiga with 4,277 games. Take a look inside Amiga. Definitely a lot of duplicates inside this collection. We'll back out of this one. Next is Amstrad CPC with just 11,230 games over here for Amstrad CPC. So definitely pretty heavy on here, but look. And now, you're going to have multiples for each title in here, of course, but still, it adds up pretty quick. So we'll back out of this one. We have Apple II over here. This will be another large one with 1,553 Apple II games. Here we have arcade, 2,537, so 2,537 arcade games. I'm a huge arcade fan. That's mainly what I got into retro video game emulation for, honestly. So this is a collection that I will spend the majority of my time in, on my own device here. So 2-on-2 Open Eyes Challenge, love it. Now, take a look at this, though. There's only one version listed here of 2-on-2 Open Eyes Challenge. Now, I know for a fact there's several versions out there, so I like this because it's clean. There's not 20 versions of it when they could feasibly add that many if we're, adding duplicates into the mix here, but definitely enjoy the fact that this is a cleaned up collection. So, not saying there's not going to be some duplicates in here, but it's not as blatantly obvious as some of the other collections on this drive. So, definitely some cool titles in here. We'll hold this down and we'll kind of jump ahead quite a ways, so we're not just looking at the A titles here. It's a cool game, City Bomber. Recently rediscovered that one. And if we hold this down, let's see if we have, I'm a huge WrestleFest fan. That's probably one of my all-time favorite classic arcade games. So let's hold it down and see if we have WrestleFest in here, which I think would be under WWF. I think that's how that would start. So we'll just hold this down and we're almost there. You can jump to the letter as well, but I've held it down this long, I might as well just see it through at this point. But if you went to select, for example, you can just go over here to the jump to, and then just go to W, and there you go. Wacko's another great game. Love that one. Used to love the arcade for that, the arcade cabinet. So let's see, WWF WrestleFest. There it is. And we've got Wrestle War, which is a good one. And then we have Superstars, WrestleFest, and WrestleMania. So all my favorites in here for sure. We have the X-Men 2 and 4 player version. So Simpsons would be like that, and Turtles in Time would also be like that, where you have the different player versions. So we'll back out. We'll keep it moving. We have Atari 2600 with 2,687 games. We have Atari 5200 with 73 games. Atari 7800 with 64 games. Atari 800 with 5,494 games. We have Atari Lynx here with 76 games. We have Atari ST with 7,080 games. Wow. Thomas Wave with 7 games. We have Capcom System 1 with 34. Capcom System 2 with 40. We have Commodore 64 with 6,935 games. Wow, that is jam-packed. We have Dreamcast over here with 50 games. 50 is actually a pretty good number for Dreamcast. Let's jump in here. It's one of my personal favorites. So we've got D2 in here 4 times. That's because it's a multi-disc game. So when we see stuff like that, that's not a duplicate. And everything else in here looks pretty good. We've got Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. We got MSR, Metropolis, Street Racer, which is a great game. We have NFL 2K1, Power Stone 1 and 2. Project Justice is in here. We've got some Resident Evil Code Veronica. San Francisco Rush 2049. Lots of your mainstream Dreamcast titles like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Soul Calibur, Street Fighter games. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is one of my all-time favorites. The House of the Dead 2. These are probably Virtua Tennis, everybody knows is my favorite, but Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is right up there. The House of the Dead 2 right up there as well. Soul Calibur. I mean, all of these I would say are in my top 4. So definitely loving the Dreamcast collection. We'll back out of this collection though. We have the Family Computer Disk System with 297 games. We have FB Neo with 6,670 games. Now this is where Classic Arcade I think is going to take a turn. This is where we're going to see duplicates, and there you go. Duplicates all over the place. Now, yes, they're slightly different. This is a different set. This is a bootleg up here. But 10-yard fight. These are exactly the same right here. Both Japanese versions. We have the US version right here. We have the World Set 1. It's just a little excessive in my opinion. I don't need one, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different versions of 1942. I mean, it's not like it's that in-depth of a game. You really don't need that many. And then 1943, the Battle of Midway, 1944, the Loot Master. There's just a lot of versions of the same thing. So, and then here, I mentioned before, 2-on-2 Open Ice Challenge. Before, in just the arcade collection, we have just this version, but over here we have 2. 2 is nothing compared to what we just saw for, 1941 and all those, but still, it's littered with a lot of collections here, or excuse me, a lot of titles within the collections. AB Cop, there's 4 different versions right there. So you can see how we quickly got over 100,000 games on here. It's not to say that there's not a lot of games, there's just a lot of duplicates thrown into the mix. Game & Watch, 53 titles. We have original Game Boy with 1605. We have Game Boy Advance with 2,954. It's just, if you know, or if you're familiar with the Game Boy Advance catalog, that's way too many games. There weren't that many games released. So if we were to jump in here, you can see there's duplicates. I mean, we also have the 2-in-1 games here, where you're going to have different bundles, but you're also going to get these games by themselves. So again, very easy to see how we quickly end up with more games than were, actually released here. And in these 2-in-1 games, like right here, for example, we have Sonic Advance in here 1, 2, 3 times in bundles, different bundles, but then we also have Sonic Advance in here by itself. So I'm not trying to be overly nitpicky here, but just trying to show everybody that this is why there's over 100 and, in this case, 114,000 games. We have Game Boy Color over here with 1,495 games. Again, same deal as Game Boy Advance and original Game Boy. It's just too many titles added in here. There weren't that many released. We have Sega Game Gear with 497. We have Nintendo GameCube, 25 Nintendo GameCube games. See, I would like more GameCube games and less of the duplicates in other collections. Even though those collections like Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, those titles aren't taking up a lot of space, if we were to remove some of those in excess, and we can remove, a couple hundred from each of these collections, we would open up enough space to where we could add a couple more GameCube titles, or a couple more PS2 titles. So let's see what GameCube actually looks like in here. I keep hitting the wrong button, so that's why the window sometimes looks a little different. We have Donkey Kong Jungle Beat up here at the top. We have all the Zelda games, which is really cool. We have Luigi's Mansion. We have Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. We have Mario Kart Double Dash. We have Mario Party 4 and 6 over here. We have Metroid Prime. We have Pokemon games. We have Resident Evil games. We have Soul Calibur 2. We have some Star Fox titles. We have Super Mario Strikers, which I'm a huge fan of. Super Mario Sunshine, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Time Splitters 2. So pretty good assortment of titles here. They really got the mainstream releases like Metroid Prime, like Super Smash Bros. Melee, Super Mario Sunshine, Yeah, I mean, they did a good job of getting the mainstream titles. They could have definitely added more, though, and appealed to more people, I think. So we'll back out. Over here we have Amstrad GX 4000 with 25 games. We have Atari Jaguar with 56 games. Next collection over, we have Lutro Game Framework. So we have 9 games inside here: Deep Dungeon, Game of Life, In Your Face, City Trains, Platformer, Pong, Sienna, Snake, Spaceship, and Tetris. We'll back out. We have Sega Master System with 539 games. We'll take a look at Sega Master System here. Got some Afterburner. I'm sure we have our Sonic titles down at the bottom. We'll actually do the jump to just to see if they're in here. So there we go, we got Sonic the Hedgehog, 2 Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in here. So definitely some Sonic titles for sure. We'll back out. Keeping it moving, we have Intellivision over here with 158 games. We have Sega Mega Drive over here next with 2,135 games. So Mega Drive, we're going to have foreign releases in here as well, and probably multiple versions. And if we just take a look here, yeah, so like Real Monsters, for example, European version, USA version, and then the USA beta version in here. Aero the Acrobat, we have 1, 2, 3 different versions of the original, 2 of the sequel. So yeah, I mean, they're, again, putting a lot of different versions. Look at Aladdin here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different versions of the same game. Or 7 versions, because the last one there is the sequel. So 7 versions of the same game. You know, it drives me nuts personally, because I'm never gonna say, oh, let me get the Japanese beta version versus the regular Japanese version or the European version. Like, I'm just gonna play the USA version, and that's it. You know, unless in like a rare case I want to play like a Final Cut or, you know, something like that. But very rarely. I mean, me personally, it would never happen. We'll back out though. We have MSX over here with 936 games. We have MSX2 with 196 games. We have Sega Naomi with 77 games. Huge Sega Naomi fans. We have 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker at the top. Great game. We got some Capcom versus SNK up here as well. We have Crazy Taxi in here. We have Giga Wing up here. Guilty Gear titles. Some Marvel versus Capcom. Lots of good stuff here. Power Stone 1 and 2. So a lot of these games you could find in the Dreamcast collection, but there's still some good titles just in here. Spawn and the Demon's Hand is a great game. You don't typically see that on a lot of these game drives or game consoles, so that's pretty cool. We have Virtua Tennis 2 in here. We have Virtua NBA, which is a great game, ahead of its time in a lot of ways. WWF Royal Rumble, another one of my personal favorites there. You got The Rock and X-Pac. So we'll back out of this one. We'll keep it moving. We have Neo Geo next with 265 games. You can find all your Metal Slug games inside here. Neo Geo CD system with 97 games. We've got Neo Geo Pocket over here with 340 games. We've got Neo Geo Pocket Color with 118 games. Next is N64, one of the most popular collections by far. 256 games inside here. Let's take a look. Love the way that it's laid out here. Love just seeing the screenshots of these titles. And I'm not seeing duplicates in here already, so that's pretty cool. So this is a lean collection for sure. They've done a nice job of laying everything out. We've got the cruising games here, my personal favorite racing games. Diddy Kong Racing, we've got Doom 64, Dr. Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64. We have the Duke Nukem games here. Gauntlet Legends, my all-time favorite game right there. GoldenEye 007. Indiana Jones. Let's get some Kirby titles in here. We got all our Mario games. So we got Mario Golf. We've got Mario Kart 64. We even got Mario Escape from Jail here, which is cool if you haven't played that one. 2 versions of Mario Kart 64. So you have the Super Wooting Hack here. We have Mario Party 1, 2, and 3. Mario Tennis. So definitely some great titles in here. NFL Blitz, of course. So we'll back out of this one, keep it moving. Nintendo 64 disk drive. So inside here you'll find your typical titles for this. And there's a couple different versions in some cases. We'll back out. We have Nintendo DS over here with 554 games. We have NES over here with 1592. We have NES Hacks, 2,631. So that's pretty cool to have the hacks in here. You don't always see that on these plug-and-play game drives. We have Family Computer over here with 2,741 games. Super Famicom with 14,751 games. Now that's pretty excessive here. 14,000 games on here. That's pretty nuts. Let's take a look inside here. Wow. All right. I mean, 2020 Super Baseball, just as an example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoops. Six different versions there, just in one title. And it looks like there's duplicates of every single game in here. So that's how you end up with Super Famicom with over 14,700 games on here. I mean, that's nuts. That's such a pain to go through. You know, even if you use the jump to, to get to like a certain letter, you still have so many of every title. It's really crazy. I hate when it's sloppy like that. Now, they gave us Nintendo Switch, but they only gave us one title. And it's ARMS. ARMS is a cool game, but I'd love to see more than that. But with the N100 processor, you're not going to be able to get a great experience out of Nintendo Switch anyways. So, I can't be mad at them only having one game. We have Odyssey 2 with 116 games. We have Open Bore over here with 169 games. These are pretty cool, custom-made beat-em-up style games. We have PC Engine with 412 games. PC Engine CD-ROM with 70 games. PCFX with 6 games, original PlayStation now, 700 games. Let's take a look at original PlayStation. I like the way that they laid this out, where you have the screenshot from the game, the logo, as well as the cover art there, and then of course the description below that. So, with 700 games for PS1, you're going to have pretty much everything that you want in this collection, which is cool. So many games were made for PlayStation. Really takes me back to, being a 10-year-old kid or so. So next collection over is PS2. I hit the wrong button there. But PS2 has 30 games. So let's see what 30 games are included on here. So we've got Bully at the top there. We've got Dark Cloud 2, Devil May Cry 3, Dante's Awakening. We've got some Final Fantasy. We've got some Grand Theft Auto in here. We've got some Guitar Hero, Kingdom Hearts, Marvel vs. Capcom, Metal Gear Solid. We've got Resident Evil, Prince of Persia. Shadow of Colossus is a great game. Silent Hill, Tekken 5, Virtua Fighter. Definitely mixed it up quite a bit in here, for sure. Having the Grand Theft Auto games just makes perfect sense. So I definitely like the PS2 collection. Let's see what PS3 has to offer. So just one game here. What is it? We've got Castlevania, Lords of Shadow. So PS3 probably isn't going to work on the N100 processor. I'm just going to put that out there now. I could be wrong. Maybe this game does, but the N1 processor generally is going to underperform with PS3. So makes sense why there's only one. Whether this one title works or not, we're going to have to find out. We'll back out. We have PSP in here next with 131 games. Let's see if it's true PSP or if it's PSP minis. So it's a lot of PSP minis games. There definitely are some, true PSP games like this one right here. Back out. We have Pokemon Mini over here with 43 games. We have our Ports collection here with 9. We have our Pie Game Trivia game here. We have Satellaview with 39 games. Sega Saturn, 28 games. Let's take a look at Sega Saturn. So there's multiples here, but they're not true duplicates because there's different disc options here. Tomb Raider, Virtua Cop 2, Virtua Fighter 2, X-Men, Children of the Atom. So definitely some cool games in here. Die Hard Arcade, probably my all-time favorite. And then Duke Nukem 3D is pretty cool as well. So definitely got some cool games here. Oh, and the House of the Dead. Can't go wrong with that. So we'll back out, keep it moving. We've got screenshots in here so you can take screenshots from your gameplay experiences. We've got Scum VM, 55 games. I'm a huge Scum VM fan. I played a lot of these games as a kid on the computer. So we'll jump in here and just take a quick look. We've got some Elvira in here, nice. Goblins, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis is the game that I really gravitated to as a kid. Huge Indiana Jones fan. Last Crusade is good too, but Fate of Atlantis definitely is the better of the two, in my opinion. We got some Leisure Suit Larry, we got Loom in here, Monkey Island, Maniac Mansion, Sam and Max Hit the Road. What else? Let's see. That's a good selection for sure. We'll back out. We have Mega CD here from Sega, 82 games. We've got Sega Genesis, 1,698 games. That's a large collection. We have Genesis Hacks, 71 of those. We have Mega Drive in here, 501. And we have Super Game Boy in here, 239 Super Game Boy games. Super Nintendo, 3,742. I mean, we know right out of the gate Super Famicom was thousands upon thousands of games. So Super Nintendo, still a couple thousand, much less than Super Famicom, but let's take a look. I'm sure we're going to have duplicates, and we do. We definitely do. And they're all over the place. So you can tell right off the game count for collections when it's going to be padded and when it's going to be pretty lean. So you just kind of have to adjust your expectations, I suppose. But Super Nintendo Hacks is cool. 380 of those. We'll take a quick look. And it does show you the photo, which is something you don't typically see with hack collections. So I definitely like that. Super Graphics, 319 games. Supervision, 47 games. Oozebox in here with 89 games. Vectrex with 71 games. Virtual Boy with 31 games. Nintendo Wii with 3 games. Let's see what Wii games we have. We have Super Mario Galaxy 2, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. We have Wii U over here, 1 game, and that is going to be Mario Kart 8. I'm not sure how that's going to perform on the N100 processor either. We have Windows over here now with 1 game, Plants vs. Zombies, and I see original Xbox. I bet you there's 1 Xbox game because the N100 is going to underperform. 1 game, and it's going to be Jet Set Radio, right? Jet Set Radio Future, yep. That's the only game you're going to get running on an N100, so I'm not at all surprised by that. We have Sinclair ZX Spectrum here with 20,965 games. I mean, oh my gosh, that's way too many games there. 20,965 for this one collection that realistically, and this is going to piss somebody off, but realistically, nobody's going to play. Nobody but the one person that's upset with me saying that is going to play that. Sinclair ZX81. 1,171 games inside here. So we're back to where we started. 114,542 games. I mean, I can't complain too much because, we have a lot of great options here, but there is so much padded. So the only thing that I get upset about is when they use this high number as a marketing scheme, if you will, because, it's just too many games on here. And it's a pain when you clutter up the collections to navigate them. So there's some really lean collections, like N64 was a great one, Dreamcast was a great one, PS2 was a great one, but then you have GameCube was a great one, but then you have some that are just totally ridiculous, like Super Famicom, just absolutely insane how many games are in there and how many duplicates are in there. So I would tidy that stuff up, but let's dive into some games and see what the experience is like. jumped into this plug-and-play game console from Kinhank here today, which is essentially, as I said multiple times, a mini PC that comes with a game drive. So calling it a console, I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch for me personally because you're getting a mini PC and you're getting yourself an external hard drive that you have to connect. The mini PC doesn't really become a game console until you connect the drive over to it, and even then it's a bit of a stretch. I would have liked to see them actually install the games internally on the mini PC. I realize it's very compact, but it does have a SSD inside of it, so they could have put the same games right on the inside of it to where you don't need that external connection. So that was a little bit weird for me, but other than that, I mean, the performance on here, considering that it's an Intel Celeron N100 processor, it's not the most powerful mini PC out there on the market by any means, but it does play through the majority of the games here very well. The only issues I had was with PS3. PS3 was just completely blown out. It was all screen tearing. There was just no playability to that whatsoever. So to me, throw PS3 right out of it, throw Nintendo Switch out of it, because you're not going to get a good experience out of an N100 processor on those collections. Everything else ran extremely well on here. I had no issues with gameplay experience, so I definitely think that it does provide, you know, enough value to where it justifies the price point on here. But as I said time and time again, I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing me say this, but there's tons of duplicates on this. So you're going to get 114,000 games on here, but a lot of it's the same thing over and over again. Collection by collection, we just see that there's 10 of each title, or there's 5 of each title in a lot of those collections. Not all of them. N64 was lean, Dreamcast was lean, Xbox was really lean, only one title in there. Wii was really lean. So there are some collections where it's put together perfectly, but then there's some like Super Famicom where they just put thousands and thousands and thousands of extra games in there. So it pads the numbers. I think it kind of sways the marketing a little bit to where people think, wow, I'm getting this massive value out of this, and you are, but you aren't. So I do think that the value in here definitely justifies the cost. I don't think that you're getting hosed on something like this by any means. It is a decent mini PC. If you took just the mini PC out of the equation here, and you were to sell that separately, it would be a $150 mini PC easily, maybe even more. So $150 there. You add in the game drive, you add in the controller, it all adds up. And you're saving yourself a lot of time getting something like this with all the games preloaded and ready to go for you. The settings, I find that some of the aspect ratio was off in some of these titles, so you do have to go in and tweak things a little bit, but all in all, it's a good experience here from Kinhank. I've had good experiences with Kinhank for the most part. They've definitely gotten better and better with what they offer in terms of products. So if you guys want some additional information on this brand new plug-and-play Kinhank game console, then click the link at the top of your screen as well as in the description of this video. That's going to do it for today, though. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought of what you saw here today. Give me a thumbs up on the video if you don't mind, and of course, hit subscribe to stay in the loop for all future videos right here on the Chase Brogan YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. See you guys on the next one.